First of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this conference. It's really an honor to present my thoughts about CPTED, and thank you for nice presentation of myself, of me. Let me explain first of all. When I was asked to present something on the conference, I decided to do quality of life in high-rise housing. But later on, I realized that I'm in group about higher education, and I thought that maybe this is a good opportunity to share some experiences I have as an academic teacher. So I will use this improving quality of life as a case, but on the very end of my presentation, so do not expect I will manage with time, okay, or I will manage with presentation. Another explanation. I should introduce myself as a geographer. I started with political geography since my PhD, and later on I've been dealing with social geography. So I'm not an urban planner, I'm not an architect. I have a little bit different perspective. For last four and a half years, I work at Lodz University of Technology. That meant for me huge change from University of Lodz geography department. And what I first faced was totally different point of view on space and city and urbanism. The sentence I've heard or notion I've heard first was that that was my students, this is quotation, we deal with urban tissue. And I wondered, what is urban tissue? So urban tissue to my students was generally streets, buildings, infrastructure. No human factor in that. So when I encounter, so to say, CPTED, thanks to Paul, and also Paul, we've just mentioned conference. We met a couple years ago. I thought this is a good opportunity to introduce this human factor to students who deal with urban tissue. And I think that it's something more, that CPTED somehow can be exemplification of urban planning and spatial economy, but seen from also this social perspective. So my point here is that CPTED gives us opportunity to integrate student skills and integrate students' knowledge in the context of planning and in the context of spatial economy and urbanism. And also architecture probably, or I wish that would be also architecture. How I see this integration, of course, in at least three areas. That is social, legal, and spatial. Why legal? Because it involves all possible aspects of law, regulations, and other norms which are present in planning. And we start with norms, such as, for example, CEN standards. We have local regulations, local acts, but also urban master plans, which we need to look through. And then we have, of course, state regulations, very basic, for example, as building law. Another thing this crucial to me is social. And I would divide this social aspect into at least two in at least two levels, two parts. First, we have stuff connected with crime purely, that is fear of crime and reported crimes. And it is very necessary to remember that these are two different things. When you look at the maps of fear of crime, they are not necessarily the same as reported crimes maps. So this is one thing. Another thing is connected with local community. Very many people here mentioned this magic local community. But we need to realize that it's not so easy to define this local communities in the city. Paul mentioned boundaries, that we need to know boundaries. Try to find boundaries of local communities in the city. It's extremely difficult, and it's really a challenge, not only in context of teaching, but also very much in context of researching, I would say. Students need to understand that space is created by people. Space is interpreted by people. And to be safe means also to create local community. Spatial aspects. First of all, we have different scales. And I think from the very basic thing, from the very basic one, like building, and I would say that this is this architectural sense of CPTED, till whole neighborhoods, if we are talking about small cities, who creates the coherent space. What we can use as a teachers to what aspects of our curricula we can evoke: land use, land cover, infrastructure in all possible forms, starting from transportation, finishing with lighting. Other, what I mentioned before, so as I said, I'm a geographer, so for me it's very difficult to divide between space and people. So others I put, for example, social production of space. And we have another aspects here in this spatial attitude. Greenfield, and I think even if we are not in Australia, greenfield is possible, so greenfield planning is possible. So newly designed neighborhood, newly designed buildings, and non-greenfield. And it's also very crucial for this part of Europe, I suppose, because I'm thinking about revitalization. It's very much in fashion, quotation mark, nowadays in Poland, and I do believe in Hungary, and I remember that you face exactly the same problems like revitalization and gentrification here in Budapest is clearly visible. So this is another aspect. So every single, so it should be like that every single subject we taught can be utilized when we deal with CPTED during our classes. Practicing at academia. Again, the difference between Łódź University of Technology and the University of Łódź is that from students from polytechnics, I hear that they do projects. No prose, please. Just projects, no theories, nothing like that. But CPTED is a good opportunity to show them that actually they follow certain procedure, which is exactly scientific procedure in the sense of methodology. So first, you have problem defining, right? You need to find a question you want to answer. Here in the context of safety. Defining the place, defining the space, because we distinguish between place and space. This is not the same, again, various scales. Then we have data collecting. Beautiful thing for understanding how to communicate with people. A whole range of methods. starting with surveys, interviews. By the way, my students are very keen on interviews, only when they are conducted via the internet. You know, the other way, like person-to-person contact, is unavailable for them. But some other methods we can use, like focus groups. When I heard about your experiences with kids, I thought about something what is called collaborative or partner photographs. That you ask your respondents to make photo, and then they describe this photo. It's a beautiful method to understand something which is not so clearly speakable, so to say. And then we have analyze, diagnosis, creating maps, probably yes, GIS, yes, very much, but as an analytical tool, to me, that means, and CPTED would evolve this. So whole range of statistical tools also. And solution of the problem, that means designing, or that means giving some hints for planners to change something or to produce this space in order to be safe. Forms of teaching we try to develop at our university. Regular curriculum courses, elements of the other courses, individual work, usually theses, and ad hoc courses. So at least four ways of dealing with CPTED at university. Regular curriculum courses actually to be in future, to be started in a year probably, and MA level that would be. We are under the process of changing our curriculum, and of course we need to follow European regulations, that is European qualifications framework. And I think when you read this on the very basic level, on the very general level, perfect match, I would say. Few courses like urban social problems, urban planning, revitalization. Those are titles, those are names of our subjects. And various methods of teaching also. Project learning, or project teaching from the other side. Case study and problem-based learning. This is also something what we try to introduce at our university. And few remarks about urban social problems and project teaching or project learning. So the task was to utilize CPTED with the certain context of one of the markets in our city. The name of the market is Górniak, and this is, a few slides prepared by students. I suppose they changed thinking about people. They asked people, they go, they conducted field studies, but they also draw. Okay, this is not. We try to integrate all skills. Okay, not only this connected with researchers, with social researchers, but also still we stick to planning. What should be done for the market? So we have certain solutions, of course, that was supported with plans, with maps, as I told you. The example of thesis, quite good. It was done by Mr. Cieślak. Guidelines for the rehabilitation of the housing estate with the CPTED strategy. So this is connection of CPTED and there's processes of rehabilitation and renovation and revitalization in one of the cities nearby Łódź, and that was high-rise neighborhoods. Ad hoc courses. This is a picture, maybe another one you can see better. Thank you, Paul, you wear still the same jacket, so we can recognize you. So workshop was conducted last autumn by Paul van Sommeren with involvement of City Planning Office, and this is additional thing that we can provoke students to go and ask people who are responsible for certain things. Go to police, go to City Planning Office. Do field work, as I told you. This, sorry, I want to go back. This particular workshop is one of the whole series. We planned for 3 years, 2 workshops a year, and we are supported by, we are in the program which is called the Integrated Program of Lodz Technology University, supported by Ministry and supported by European Social Funds, so luckily we can pay our instructors. But the first workshop, sorry, not this direction, sorry. But the first workshop actually took place in autumn 2015, and it was done with Tobias Woldendorp. I think some of you may know Tobias, and we dealt with high-rise housing and improving quality of life with CPTED, and this is another part of my presentation, but it is also available from the website. So if you want to follow this part, I think it would be better if you just plough through this. In the internet. I only wanted to mention that that was research project with huge attention paid to social context, but thanks to Tobias, we also dealt with this physical space problems, sometimes very simple, very visible, but you need to know what to pay attention to. Like, for example, that you have not good lamps on the street, that they are typical for roads, not for pavements, and that's why this is something what invites, quotation marks, something what invites cars on the pavement, right? Because you have different lighting, and so on and so forth. High-rise building is another subject which is, in my opinion, worth to pay attention to, not only center of the cities, but we need to realize that almost half of population in this part of Europe, I believe including Hungary, lives in high-rise buildings. So sooner or later we need to deal with this. Okay, thank you very much. Thanks a lot.